Mrs. Jones, thank you for letting us interview you here at
Absolutely.
Patrick Henry Middle School.
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to speak with you is because you have been a recipient of the volunteer program from Chevron.
Yes, ma'am.
Has that been of any benefit to you at all?
Oh, I could take all day to tell you this, but besides just the actual resources that you've all brought, just the manpower hours or woman power hours in your case, just coming into the classroom. As a teacher, as most people know, we don't get paid enough, and we take a lot of our money out of our own pocket and we put it into the classroom. What Chevron did was allow me to have to pull less of my own money out, and just the resources they gave, from paper to just pens to, like I said, the manpower hours of somebody coming to help you grade because you can still teach. You know, someone coming in, my kids actually getting to interact with someone who's a real person, and because they don't think we're real people, but a real person in the real world who can explain to them how important school is. You know, and it may not be a secondary education you look for, but school is important up to whatever level you go to. From just, I mean, it's so many ways. Like I couldn't even. It would take me 2 weeks to tell you everything how beneficial it was.
I know I've enjoyed volunteering in your class. I know you've mentioned that other teachers have seen you volunteering for you. What were their comments?
So I've had people ask me, how do I get one? When she's done with you, can she come to me? You know, where do I sign up? So like I said, it's invaluable. We spend so many hours outside of classroom hours working. You know, we spend our regular hours teaching, but there's so much that comes after that. We have to tutor. We have to grade papers. We have to talk to kids. You know, people forget that teaching is also talking. We have to get to know our students, and there are not enough hours in a day. And if we had to do it all by ourselves, we wouldn't be able to. So when we have, you know, a volunteer come in, and they're coming in with a smile, which is always helpful. And, you know, our middle school kids see real life people who want to spend time with them. You know, because they think if you're working at Chevron, you're rich and you don't have time for them. You know, for you to come and sit with them and have conversation and laugh with them. Because I remember there was one group in particular, they were real funny and they were themselves around you. So it helps for them to see how what we're telling them is real. There's a connection, real world connection that they get.
That's good. It's definitely my pleasure to do so. And I appreciate Chevron allowing me to come in the classroom
Absolutely. We do too.
give that kind of example. One of the things that I noticed is that in your classrooms is you were concerned about meals for your children.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that they eat during the week because the school system provides for them. But there was a problem with some of the children on the weekend, and I know the food bank is another agency that we try to volunteer for, and you said they have a benefit.
Absolutely. There's a program called Backpack Buddies, and that's just one of the many that they have, but it was where the kids could actually come and it was a backpack, and they would fill it with food so they could take it home. And over the weekend, where there were the gaps and not being able to get a meal, it would fill those gaps in. And like I said, they didn't ask any questions, they didn't intrude, but if there was a need, they filled it. And I mean, we had kids, you could tell them in their backpack, and there was no shame associated with it. And it was great to see a kid who knew they wouldn't get fed over the weekend go home with a backpack. And it's just, and as a teacher, you know, which again, we're trying to fill that void. We would go get food, we would try to put little things together, but that just put it all together.
That's
that was
wonderful.
It was.
That's
it was.
wonderful, because as Chevron employees, you know, we try to volunteer at the food bank as well as many different places all over Houston as well as the world, because it is our enterprise is worldwide, and volunteering is important to us, and we've talked about that.
Right.
But sometimes we think, especially at the food bank, we're packing so many hours and yay, and then we go home. But it's so good to hear that it makes a difference, and that it's going to real people, and that we can see the difference.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out this morning and helping us. And what actually, you know, at one moment, I just remember too. Didn't I just see you on Donor Choice again?
Yeah, it's a program called Donors Choose.
Oh, okay.
And what happens is we put in our lesson plan. So we have a lesson plan for our classroom, and we go through the lesson plan. We need certain supplies, because there are certain things, we're public school. There are certain things we don't have money for. You know, we may get paper, we may get pencils, but You're not going to get a computer or a laptop or a tablet or something where the kids can sit and work extra. So what Donors Choose does is we put in whatever our request is with that lesson, and then people can donate. And I know Chevron in particular, they fulfilled, I think, 2 or 3 of my requests. And the reason that's so good is because in a Title I school, we have kids who are below reading levels, they're below math levels, so they need extra. So with that money and what those resources allow us to do, like in one class in particular, I made a reading station. So my kids who had issues with, translating languages, they could get the lesson in Spanish in that particular case. So they weren't falling behind. I've had a station where my kids who needed extra math help, even though I'm not a math teacher, they could sit at that station and no one knew. They kept their pride about them and they got to, reach the level where they needed to be. And like I said, without Chevron and without Donors Choose, I wouldn't have never been able to do that. It wouldn't have happened. It just wouldn't have happened.
Well, I can tell you, I speak for Chevron. We're very, very glad to hear that.
Well,
The little that we do really makes a difference. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. I
Yes,
really
ma'am.
appreciate it. We'll let you get back to your class.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.